Hey all you basement dwellers out there in YouTube land, it's Rob the History Smith here, back with a new video for you guys. You may have noticed they haven't been the best lately. I had some audio issues and then I gave myself a pretty good burn on my hand. So I haven't had a chance to really shoot much more, but I'm back. And I'm going to finish a project for you today. But before I do that, I just want to give a special thanks out to these guys here. Oh, resize. My head is giant. Alright, I want to give a thank out to these guys here. True North Arms, TNA. They're not sponsoring me. They haven't given me any sort of monetary or anything like that. They're just a really good group of people. They've been around for a while here in Ontario, selling firearm parts and firearms. They started off primarily selling AR-15s, which is how I got to them. They also were selling a little bit of SKS, but since Trudeau has essentially tried to shut down any small business owner that has anything to do with firearms, they've been struggling, but they've diversified quite a bit. Unfortunately, Trudeau has came over the diversification as well, so this company is struggling, so I thought I'd give them a nice shout out. They've been a great bunch of people every single time I dealt with them. And they have parts and things like that you just can't find anywhere else. So, thanks to them, thank you guys, check them out. I can't give you a link because they do actually sell firearm parts, or firearms I mean. So you're going to have to look them up, but True North Arms, not hard to find, TNA, you can see it on the hat. Look it up, you'll find them. Great thing about them is they sell things that you just can't find, and this is one of those projects where finding something like these Wolf Springs here in Canada are nearly impossible. I've tried purchasing from Wolf in the past, directly from the US. They won't ship to Canada under any circumstance, so you don't have many options here in Canada when it comes to finding spring steel and things like that. So thank you to TNA for carrying that stuff. It's really important. Springs are a consumable part of a firearm, so they need to be replaced. And if you can't buy them, you can't replace them. You can't replace them, you don't have a working firearm, right? So let's get on with the project, shall we? What project are we talking about today? We were talking about this guy. Kind of funny looking gun. I mean, that right there will give most people a giveaway as to what we're looking at. This giant cartoonish thing here. I've done a video on this in the past, but now I'm going to try to complete it. So it looks like an 1873 Colt single action, but it's actually an 1878 Colt. This particular is the Philippine configuration, or as you guys like to call it, the Alaskan. This large trigger and trigger guard is simply because there's there's supposed to be a very large mainspring hammer spring here, but this gun here is missing the hammer spring, so that's what we're going to fix today. It's also missing another small spring. These are not the funnest guns to work with because this is your opening for all your parts to come in and out of this gun. So it's like a Rubik's Cube or Tetris if you prefer, if you're into not being a boomer. All right, guys. So let's get on with this. Let's disassemble, and we'll take a look at what we need to do. So, in the past, sorry if my hand's getting in the way there, guys. Come on. So this is one part I had to replace in the past. When I found this pistol, it was missing the side plate. It's also missing the hammer spring, but we'll leave that in there or the hammer access point there. We'll leave that in there for now. Get the grip off. There we go. Grip off. Put that aside. So a mainspring, and this guy here, gotta put that back in. So the main spring in here, the tail sits inside here, and the upper part of the spring will match up to this little stirrup here. The springs I got, they're going to be a little underpowered for this guy, but it will fire, no problem. Underpowered in the sense compared to the original, and the original was set up for these really hard military primers. This is going to be firing, if ever, it's going to be firing a modern primer. So you can see this part up here, that's the part that's going to hook up to that stirrup, and then the bottom part is the part that fits in here. So the question is, which spring do I want to use? That one works. They all will work. But with a little bit of experimenting, you'll find you want as much pressure as you can get. So I'm thinking the further back the spring is placed, like so, the farther you have to stretch it in that direction, the more force you have to put on it, which means a harder hammer hit. The other thing you got to be mindful of, though, is the screw hole here. You don't want to have your spring interfering with the screw that's holding the grip on. So we'll put that in there. Give that a bend. Throw it across the workshop. Give that a bend. Check it. I can see that it's going to clear that screw. So I'm going to go with this guy here. So, but you can actually see on that angle there. So this is the little stirrup here, and it's a little hard to tell, but it's actually T-shaped. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut a small channel in here and then just bend this over ever so slightly without wrecking it. Luckily, I got 4 more in case I mess up. Alright guys, I made a decision. In order to do this right, I'm going to have to do some disassembly. So let's get on with the disassembly, shall we? Alright, that's as far as I need to go. Now I can get a better measurement of the stirrup. Let me get that out of the way. Get you a close-up. So that's the stirrup there. And I need to cut the spring to fit around there. So let's... The reason why I'm going so deep is when you start to curve an object, you have a larger surface area to cover. So I'm liking that. That looks good to me. Fits good. I'm going to get in here with the diamond file. There's one thing you want to avoid if you can, any sort of rough burrs and marks. Those will be weak points. And weak points will cause your spring to fail. Gun, I want it to be bending that direction, so I just gotta keep that in mind. That's I'm gonna drop it here. That's the direction I want to be in. Holding it by hand because I want to know if it's getting too hot. And I got my map. And now time to heat this. Okay, spring number 2 doesn't have a big of a kick out on the bottom there. bring it back around into the groove. I'm not getting much hammer force on that one. There is a little screw here I can adjust. Alright, I gotta move on to a second part of this because I've fitted everything back together and it was jamming up. So instead of just showing you something not working, I need to get in here and fix these little problems. What's problem here is I'm missing a feather spring that pushes the whole pawl and double action thing forward. Sorry guys, getting a little frustrated here. But that's the way it goes when you're working on stuff like this. If it were easy, they wouldn't charge you a fortune to do it. Unless they're the medical company, and then they'll charge you a fortune no matter what. Okay, so I'm having a problem here, and this is the most irritating problem. This is that little stirrup I was showing you earlier. So this is kind of like the heart of the gun right here. Everything is connected and timed at this point. So you have the part that touches to the mainspring. This is your double action push rod, for lack of a better word. It is broken, does need to be replaced, but it will function for now. This is your pawl, your hand, that pushes the cylinder forward. And you can see, if you look here, there's a little dot. And what should be in here is a little feather spring. So feather spring is exactly what it sounds like. A leaf spring is thicker, feather spring is thinner. And no surprise, that feather spring has broken a long time ago. So what I'm going to have to do is figure out. So what that feather spring does is it biases this hand forward towards the cylinder, and it biases the second hand, the double action hand, backwards into this little groove here. This goes forward into the back of the cylinder to rotate it. Without that spring, these are just free to do anything and everything, and they'll jam this gun up so fast. I'm not going to be able to find a feather spring, at least not anytime soon, at least not here in Canada. I was thinking of using an old watch or something like that. But since I can't find that, I'm going to go second best and go with a piece of piano wire spring. And I'm going to drill that out very carefully to be able to insert the piano into, and then bend it in kind of an L shape. Alright guys, I'm back. Same problem, different day. I gave it a break last night. Wasn't getting anywhere quick, so I thought better stop before I do something stupid. So I have the part in place, but the problem is that spring I added is actually not really working, the coil spring. It's shifting side to side. I'm going to take it further apart and I'll show you what the problem actually is and what I think my solution will be. So the problem I'm having is that bar is slipping to the opposite side, like so. The reason why it's doing that is you can see it actually has too much play. The original piece wrapped up around, it was a piece of flat metal, and that would stop it from rotating. So what I'm going to have to do is make that part. These are the feeler gauges I'm talking about. Most of you guys will recognize these. They come in different thicknesses. They're literally for feeling clearances and parts and stuff like that. They're relatively inexpensive. It's $10 or so for a pack. I just pick them up at any local car part store or something like that. They'll have them, and they can get pretty thin. Like, that's really thin. You can see there. That's probably too thin. That's definitely too thick. That one seems about right. This one's like paper thin. But it shows you they are they're a lot more valuable than just for feeling for thickness and stuff like that. Actually, that one's not bad either. I'm going to put that one aside just in case. So how I'm going to work these is I'm just going to take them over to my sander and sand them down into shape. The part I'll show you a still. Well, you'll see it earlier, but I'll show you the still again of the little U-shaped spring with a little dog leg on it. So that's what I got to make, and it's going to have to wrap around this guy here. It's going to have to wrap it, come this way, around, and back out, and the little T will shoot off in that direction just like this, but instead of being a wire, it's going to be a piece of shite metal. Oh, it is. Alright, let's get to shaping, shall we? I'm not going to bother you with it, so we'll just go straight to it. Alright, so the part has been cut to shape. It's pretty straightforward. The little L shape. I got to get this piece of wire off, which shouldn't be that. Is shape this part. Right, so I chose this soldering gun here because I can actually pick the temperature, and I don't have to worry about drawing the temper on the spring. Alright, so I'm going to set this to 200 degrees Celsius. This is under 400 degrees Fahrenheit, so I'm not going to draw the temper on the string, I'm not going to draw the temper by mistake, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, there's the part done up and soldered to the piece. I did end up going using a torch because I lost my patience. This project is driving me nuts, but that's what happens when you try gunsmithing. Alright, so it's reassembled. You might notice I added a nick there, but it's okay. I don't care. It actually kind of just adds to the gun, in my opinion, because that's a new part anyways. And so that obviously functions. And the little pawl here. It's missing the tension on the top end there. Alright, so what I had to do, the reason why that hand wasn't coming forward, this was just too long. So I snipped it, moved it down, soldered it back on. It was just hitting the part of the frame. It was just riding up too high, hitting the frame and riding up onto this part of the frame here and away from the hand. So with that fixed, hopefully this thing will go back together for the last time and I can go to my bedroom and cry like a baby. Okay, everything's reassembled. Everything's been tensioned. I will say that the hammer spring is a little on the light side, but rotates, locks, double action, Double action I don't really like the feel of. I don't know if it's what I've done or just the pistol itself. It is, double action part is broken, so it could possibly be that. But there you go. All right, guys. I will say, if you do have these things and you want to go shooting with them, these are black powder, so black powder is going to be corrosive. I highly recommend picking up things like these little guys here, little things of ballistol. More importantly, I would say too, would be having something like this on hand. Those are little gun wipes. They're great for if you're using anything with corrosive primers or black powder. If you're just at the shop and you want to give it a quick wipe down. Particularly for me, it's corrosive primer I can't stand, because you really don't know what you're getting. A lot of the Chinese stuff says it's non-corrosive, but I've seen plenty of people doing tests that show it is, so it doesn't hurt to have one of these or a couple of these in your bag when you're walking around. So those things, actually, all those little guys came from TNA as well, so you can pick it up there when you're making your order. This here is the parts number for the Wolf Springs. Like I said, it says they're basically meant for Ivor Johnsons and things like that, so smaller 38 cals, which explains why it's a little on the weak side for this, but beggars can't be choosers, and I'll take what I get, and I'm happy with that. Like I said, I'm not planning on shooting this. The laws in Canada are really irritating. So somebody's going to get this for a safe queen, and that's where it's going to stay. I'm happy with it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. I really need you guys to like and subscribe. Check out TNA online. They got some really good stuff. They got some sales right now. They also offer gunsmithing for doing stuff like barrel modifications and things like that. So they're a little bit more than your average gun shop, that's for sure. They don't have a retail location that I'm aware of. I could be wrong. Hopefully they'll correct me. But I'm pretty sure they're just online order, which is fine for me. They're somewhere in Guelph, Ontario, so it's quick shipping if you're here in Canada, especially if you're in a major city. Yeah, thank you guys, TNA. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.